I think it was G.K. Chesterton that says, the fulfillment of our human nature, of what it means to be fully human, is to play. G.K. Chesterton then says, the Father is actually younger than we are. Kind of relates to our gospel today. We're called to be children. Why? Because children always say, do it again, do it again, do it again. G.K. Chesterton says, that's exactly what God the Father says every time the sun rises. Do it again, do it again. It's wonderful. Oh, what are you studying? Oh, I'm studying what's called the theology of the body. What's that? And so I asked her, are you religious at all? She said, no, I'm not religious. So I asked a question to her. What would the world be like if we looked at one another the way in which we looked at a sunset? Because the theology of the body expresses that the human being is the crown, the most beautiful of all creation, more beautiful than the stars. What would the world be like? She said, oh my gosh, the world would be so different. And I usually tell that story when I give talks, and I've been working at St. Thomas More with the college students, and I shared that story. A couple months later, a student came up to me and said, Brendan, you'd be proud of me. I've been sharing that story wherever I go. And he says, I have a story for you. All right, let me hear it. He says, one day I was at a bar. I'm studying law, and some of the law students and I, we went out to a bar. And one of the women, she asked if I could walk her home because it's dark out, it's late, and she doesn't want to walk alone. He says, okay, I'll walk you home. So they go up to her doorstep, and she says, Ken, would you like to come inside for some tea? Come inside for some tea? Okay, yeah. Tea sounds great, let's do it. So he goes inside to have some tea with her, and he's like, Brendan, in that moment, I remembered what you told me. What if we looked at one another like a sunset? And so I tried to do that. And he was looking at her with this piercing gaze, and she says to him, Ken, you have a gaze about you. It's like you're looking into my soul. What is that all about? And he said, what if we looked at one another the way in which we look at a sunset? And she began to cry. She began to cry. Why? Why don't we look at each other according to the truth of who we are?
This is what purity means. Purity does not mean stuffing your passions. Purity does not mean you have to remain a virgin your whole entire life. This is purity. Purity, number two, L2, purity is the glory of the human body before God. That is purity. That is purity. They were naked and felt no shame. That is perfect purity. Purity is a requirement of love. It is the dimension of the inner truth of love in man's heart. Christ is after your heart. He didn't come to give you more rules. He came after your heart. The long journey of Eros. Again, this is at the core of what it means to be human. Lord, awaken our desires for you is not then about suffocating the longing that dwells in the heart of man, but about freeing it so that it reaches its true heights. This is the journey, the pilgrimage of eros, of longing, of desire. The saints were the ones that knew it best. St. Francis of Assisi asked God, he was directing all of his longings for the infinite. And he said, Lord, I want to hear heaven's song. I want to hear how beautiful it is. And God says to St. Francis, if you heard the song, you would die because it's that beautiful. He's like, Lord, can I just hear one note, please? He's like, okay. An angel appears to Francis and says, Francis, this is a little bit of the music that we praise God in heaven. He had a harp, one chord, and Francis fell in ecstasy. And he woke up 2 days from a coma and told his brothers, if I heard one more note, I would have died out of the beauty of the music.
This helps us see the Christian mystery, the Christian story differently. One way to see it is we fell, God had to save us, He died for us, and now we're saved. True, good news, tell the world. Another way to say it is God is a bridegroom, a lover who sees his bride and longs to be one with her, and he will do anything to save her. He will die for her. He will give up his body for her so that she may have life. I came that you may have life and have it in abundance. If that is not preached with the gospel, then it's dead. It doesn't have power.
Be not afraid. Be not afraid to enter into those places of your heart. As John Paul II says, be not afraid of who you are. Be not afraid to open the doors of your heart to Christ. Be not afraid.